Why is this Nigerian businessman, Ben Peters, under arrest?
We received a distress call from the apartment, which is about 800 meters from the Jubilee House. We dispatched police officers to go there and only to receive a report that there are a couple of young men dressed in black suits, armed to the teeth, have blocked the entrance of the apartment with about 20 vehicles. They won't allow anybody to go in. They won't allow anybody to come out. And all of it was at the command of businessman Benedict Peters.
Benedict Peters, a.k.a. Ben Peters, the fugitive Nigerian who has run away from his country, Nigeria, and is hiding in Ghana and disturbing our peace. Hi everyone, welcome to Ghana Observer. Today I wanted to delve deeper into the thuggish behavior of the so-called quote-unquote millionaire or billionaire Benedict Peters, behaving like a hooligan and disturbing the peace of Ghana. What's he really up to in Ghana? Because his lawless behavior indicates that he's up to no good, aka businessman. We know how they use that as cover, as a front for what their real intentions and what they really do behind the scenes.
We found him owning a number of vehicles using police sirens. You all know that siren vehicles are not allowed for private individuals in this country.
Right.
He owned a number of pickups with floodlights, sirens, and all of that. He's running a team of security individuals. And you also know that you cannot run a security organization in this country if you are not permitted by the Minister of Interior.
Right.
And then we found in his possession a number of SUVs unregistered, numbering about 20, and a police motorcade, of which a number plate was not on it. He knows he's broken the law. You build an army without authorization. So we sit here and people breed terrorists and terrorism with their, privately acquired wealth to undermine our national security interests and do what exactly they want to do without respect to our laws.
All right.
He cannot do this in Nigeria.
All right.
He can't.
So now this
Benedict can't do this in Nigeria.
Indeed, he cannot do this in Nigeria. And why do I say that? Because people like him have created an inhospitable and unconducive environment where they fail to thrive. I always say what Nigerians cannot do in their country, they'll come into another country and try to do and get away with. They'll come out and say, go and look at all the Ghanaians working freely. Show me where a Ghanaian has misbehaved in this way in Nigeria. I'll wait. Because we know better. We are brought up better. It is what it is. People take offense when you speak like this, but it is what it is. Show me a Ghanaian misbehaving like this in Nigeria. It will never happen. Because we know how to behave when we are in other people's space. If we win Nigeria, and I somewhat equate this to the biblical story of the two mothers who appeared before Solomon. They had babies at about the same time, and one mother rolled over and unalived hers during sleep. In the morning, she tried to exchange the babies, and the mother, whose baby was still alive, recognized that, she was trying some shenanigans. They appeared, and of course I'm paraphrasing here, they appeared before King Solomon, and King Solomon said, okay, I'm going to split the baby who is alive in two. The real mother was like, no, let her have the baby. But the one whose baby was unalived by her own hands was like, yes, go ahead. And what's the moral of the story here? They've destroyed theirs, so they don't care if they help destroy yours. Nigeria has been destroyed by Nigerians. So when they come into other people's countries, they don't care. Another reason why he cannot behave like this in Nigeria is because he's a fugitive. He's run away from Nigeria and is hiding in Ghana, according to an article I'm going to share. He was part of an oil spill that contaminated some waters and took away the livelihood of his fellow Nigerians. He's run away from that and he's in Ghana. But what's new? Remember this other so-called billionaire who was actually a kidnapper behind the scenes? He acquired a fake Ghanaian passport and was also a fugitive in Ghana. This is where, in our conducive Ghanaian environment, he kept his wife and children while he did his misdeeds in Nigeria as a kidnapper, also calling himself a billionaire. So you see why, when they give themselves titles, you have to look beyond that. Like the so-called, quote-unquote, king, the man in Ghana who calls himself king. But let's get back. Here's the story of what he did in Nigeria, which turned him into the fugitive he is. According to this article, a Premium Times investigation found the spill to be one of Nigeria's worst in recent years, which lasted more than a month and caused extensive environmental damage. More than 100,000 barrels of oil spewed into the environment, according to expert estimates. The review of the disaster has shown that the oil and gas fumes from a wellhead operated by the Nigerian firm ATO, which is owned by who else? PETERS, caused large-scale destruction of aquatic lives and damaged water bodies and farms. Residents have also reported health problems after the incident occurred. And then in this Tribune article, there's apparently been some back and forth between PETERS and a Rear Admiral Suleiman. According to him, he knows the source of some allegations being brought up against him, and it's all to do with Benedict PETERS. The source is Benedict PETERS, who is in Ghana. He is a fugitive, and I'm quoting him now. He's the man who is sponsoring every illegal activity in Nigeria on behalf of some groups of people. He's the one sponsoring any illegal gathering in Nigeria. Suleiman goes on. He's a fugitive. Recently, he wrote me a letter that he wanted men of the Nigerian armed forces to come and guide his line. And I told him that, why do you want the armed forces when we have the task force on the ground? And we are letting the likes of these run amok, doing whatever they like in Ghana. Atrocious, unacceptable. But I blame our Ghana government. Why would you give such a person? He was the frontier person. Remember that? Remember how almost the whole world was insulting Ghana because it was $150. That money that was collected by Frontier, he was part of that BS at the Dr. Kwame Nkrumah Airport. I call it Dr. Kwame Nkrumah Airport, also known as KIA. This is the guy who was behind those shenanigans, the Frontier company that was doing the COVID testing at the airport. When other people were charging $5, Ghana, Ben PETERS, of course, this is in his country, so if he's disgracing Ghana, he doesn't care. But do our politicians even care? Do our politicians that represent us, that represent Ghana government, do they care for Ghanaian citizens? The insults were directed at Ghana and Ghanaians. But in reality, it was a Nigerian who was at the airport collecting this money, enabled by our government officials. So blame is assigned to our government, Ghana officials who allow this BS to go on right under their noses. How does he acquire all these things with our national security being unaware of it? When you know his background, and eyes should be focused like a laser beam on him and his shenanigans that he's doing in Ghana. Karma visit all these politicians who are wicked towards their fellow Ghanaian citizens, forgetting that we pay you to serve us. Our tax monies pay you to serve the Ghanaian citizens. But do you know, you greedy, you pilfer, you pillage, you give contracts to foreigners at the expense of your Ghanaian citizens. Shame on you. and may karma visit each wicked one of you. You do right, then you'll be acknowledged. But wrong is wrong. And you are part of the people, Ghana government and Ghana politicians, greedy, gutless Ghana politicians, spineless Ghana politicians. If you're not part of it, don't take offense. If you know you're doing good by Ghana and Ghanaians, then this does not pertain to you. But if you know you are unpatriotic, greedy, you are there to loot and pilfer at the expense of Ghana and Ghanaians, then shame on you. Here is what some of the neighbors of Ben Peters had to say about him, who live at the Aurora apartments as well. So this is our eyewitnesses speaking here. According to some of the residents who spoke to this portal, again, that fugitive tag, what is he hiding from? The fugitive businessman has constituted a huge nuisance to them, and all within the area since he pitched camp there several years ago, and has bragged and boasted about his connection in high places, for which reason no one could apprehend him. One elated resident, Jacob Asamoah, said Mr. Peters even had in his possession vehicles allegedly belonging to the national security parked in his basement, and was in cahoots with the immediate past administration, referring to the Akufo-Addo administration. Mr. Asamoah added that he has used the place as a brothel, a nightclub, an avenue for perpetrating various criminal activities, full glare of the enforcement agencies who have benefited from his largesse, basically bribery. You hear this? Who wants to bet that behind all these ashawos trooping in are some of these so-called, quote-unquote, millionaire people? I'm telling you. As I was working on this story, came across an article by this Nigerian man called Dele Mumudu. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And I saw that he's all in Ghana. He's all into our business. He claims to be friends with our politicians, hobnobbing. You know how they do it. Always trying to force themselves on our government officials. And he claims to love Ghana. But when these are the type of people, like some of these YouTubers, most of them are just overhyping, always praising Ghana, stroking Ghana's ego, thinking that we don't see through that.
But I'm joined live on the line this morning by Basharu Dele Momodu. He's a Nigerian, but he has his businesses based in Ghana. He's a publisher of Ovation magazine. He's a well-respected journalist right here in Nigeria. Thank you for joining us on Front Talk this morning, Basharu.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to speak on your popular program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So, Nigerians know you. In fact, some people, you have sort of a dual nationality, a Ghanaian and a Nigerian. You have your businesses in Ghana. You relate very well with the politicians, even their president in that country. But what exactly is going on in Ghana regarding Nigerian traders?
Well, let me start by saying that I'm a proud Pan-Africanist, and I was largely influenced by the books of the Osagyefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And the Minister of Tourism worked very closely with Ovation to market Ghana to the world. So yesterday I was looking at a picture of myself and President Kufuor when that work was being done. Their property business. Today, Nigerians have so much investment in property, in banking, and other institutions. Our students go to Ghanaian universities. They pay heavily. They are made to pay as foreign students. Now the question is, what is the definition of ECOWAS? I thought it was meant to be, freedom of movement of goods and people. I know what Nigeria has done in Ghana. Today, just imagine if you remove about 6 Nigerian banks out of the Ghanaian economy. It is not possible. Something will happen. If all the properties in Transaco Valley, in Airport Residential, in cantonment and all those places, if Nigerians decide that, okay, we are selling off and we're going. So you cannot like only the big investors and then you don't like the retailers. Because the problem now is with the retailers.
Yep, people who claim to love Ghana. Just look at his sheer arrogance and ego. Unbelievable. Isn't it Ghanaian money in the banks? You think if ain't making money in Ghana, if Ghana was not a conducive money environment for them, they would still be here? Stop the pretense. That's all we're saying. See through it. How are you, amongst the educated ones, such nonsense, as though you don't know that the retail space in Ghana is solely for Ghanaians and not for foreigners? Do not get it. So if these so-called educated ones, this is their mindset, then imagine what it's like for fill in the blanks. You are only Pan-Africanist, it suits your agenda. And it's fine to be nationalist. Just come out and say it. You are here to look out for Nigeria, just as Ghanaians are here to look out for Ghanaians. Be real about it, but don't pretend as if you've got Ghana's best interests at heart when you clearly do not. But folks, I'm going to end it here. Thanks so much for watching. Share, like, comment. Please consider subscribing if you haven't yet. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.